had the pleasure of talking with a great band out of Chicago called Marina City. They're playing at Warped Tour this summer, and their training regimen for it is crazy. They give you some insight into that, as well as some cool projects they just finished up. I think it's definitely something you'll find interesting. So thanks for clicking the video, and I hope you enjoy.
Okay, well, this is Ryan Argast, and I'm the lead vocalist.
This is Matt Gaudiano, and I play keys and do backup vocals.
This is Toter, and I do lead guitar.
This is Eric, I play drums.
I'm Aaron, I play bass.
This is Brian Johnson, I play rhythm guitar and vocals.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys, and we'll get right into it. It seems like Marina City has a ton going on. What is like the project that you guys are working on like right now?
Well, right now it's not as exciting, but we got a bunch of money from Guitar Center, and we built an in-ear monitor system so that every single time we play a show, we can have the same sound in our ears and be tighter as musicians and stuff. So we're literally building that as we speak. We just stopped to do this interview, but we're actually really nerdy and excited about this right now. It's not. I know fans are like, "Wait, where'd you go? You got 15 grand from Guitar Center and you blew it on that." But it's gonna make our shows so much tighter and so much better. And we pride ourselves in being, better musicians or good musicians, and always trying to improve. So this will be our way to do it. But for a fan who actually cares. We just finished our acoustic EP, our live acoustic EP, called Lost Doesn't Mean Alone. And it was with Craig Owens, and we went to 5 different cities, 5 different studios, and recorded live in front of a studio audience 5 songs. And they were completely different versions of 4 of the songs we already had, and then one brand new song that we're really excited to show everyone. And that's something that we're really focusing on before we get on Warped Tour and our East Coast tour in June. So I guess that says our big 3.
Yeah, that's such a unique project. I don't even know, has a band really done that before, where they make a EP, but it's just live, and that's what they're going with? That seems like it's very unique.
Well, we took inspiration from a couple different projects. The main one being this jazz fusion band called Snarky Puppy that we're all big fans of, and they did this great in studio live performance album that came out with videos and everything. So that was our main source. And when we were kind of bouncing around ideas for the project, we reached out to Craig Owens, who helped produce the EP, and he's based out of Detroit and Toledo. And we were thinking, well, if we were going to do this, it would be hard to get the majority of our fans who are from Chicago out to Detroit or Toledo. So we decided that we'd make a little tour out of it. So it just became this crazy combination between that Snarky Puppy project and Foo Fighters' Sonic Highways, where they went to different studios. So it was a lot of fun. It was a huge challenge, but it was a blast.
Awesome. I was looking at the tour schedule. Seems like about 6. You said 6 different shows, kind of around the Midwest. What were the shows like in terms of the environment?
Well, the first one, it was like a test run, I guess you can say, because nobody really knows what to expect when you're playing and recording. You're performing and recording at the same time. So you have to find a nice middle ground as a performer and be super precise while recording, and put on a show for at least 20 or 15 people or whatever it was. Yeah. But after the first day, we got way more comfortable, and I think it went smoothly overall. But I just think the first day was kind of we're just kind of testing things out. But each studio was different.
Yeah, each crowd kind of took the project a different way. Some people were more comfortable than others.
Yeah, so it's a hard thing to be hey guys, we're going to be in a recording studio. We need you to make sure you don't break anything, but we also want you to have a good time. So but at the same time, every studio was different. Whereas our first studio was a house. It was literally recorded in a house. And then the second one was a huge studio, just massive, D12 records there, and Eminem and stuff like that. It was super sick. And then we went into a really small studio in Milwaukee, where it was everyone was jam packed and a little crowded, but had amazing sound and it was on the street, like a busy street. Next one had like beautiful. What was the
Mosaic.
Yeah, what was it? Cool artwork in like
in Minneapolis.
Yeah. Minneapolis had like this like crystals and like cement and stuff. It was some cool stuff. And then Chicago was very, very Chicago-y. So as much as that makes sense, but
Sure.
Every studio had its own bar to it, which was really cool.
Will listeners hear kind of the different acoustics in each of the songs on the EP?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. That's what we're trying to play to it. We're trying
Cool.
that someplace different.
What and I guess you had like a kind of a documentary type thing going on along with it, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
What will that entail? Just like shots of the band playing?
I think a lot of it is just kind of like a reflection of while we were recording, like what was going on in our heads, like what were our concerns, what went well, what didn't work, and it's kind of like the behind the scenes kind of stuff, which should be really fun to watch back now.
And I think that's something that a lot of bands may not use as much. I think fans of music really like to see the artistic process and what goes into making stuff like this. I think that's a really cool kind of peek behind the curtain of what you guys are doing. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of like what's it called, Sonic Highways, like Foo Fighters kind of thing, like that. We were like going for that kind of vibe, while like having like that whole spin on it.
And we should also be releasing live video of each song being performed along with that too. So there'll be like a little documentary clip, usually about like each day probably, and then a video of the song.
As a music video.
I know you kind of picked the songs like they were your favorite pieces of work. What was the thought process between deciding what you wanted to put in that EP?
Well, we've been doing like a lot of these like house party tour shows, and like we took a lot of the songs that we had and we rewrote them to kind of fit more of like an acoustic like environment type setting. And so like we just took songs that like we knew people really, really liked and just rewrote them to feel that way. And that's kind of like, we just picked the best ones out of that. We did 2 songs off of Chimera, and then we did 2 songs off of Wanderlust, and then we also did a brand new song that no one's ever heard before. So that one was, we kind of had that song sitting around for a while, like just waiting for an acoustic project, and then this came up, and it worked out like really well to use that song. That song's going to be cool.
And that's a really exciting way, I think, to introduce a new song. It's not just this studio produced, it's been played with a lot. It's raw. It is the real deal when it comes to the new song, just to make it live and to make it in that environment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You guys, and I know a lot of bands, I was looking at some of your influences, a lot of bands, when they list like an influence, you see what they're going for, but you don't quite hear it. But like when I saw that you guys were influenced by like a Panic at the Disco or The Used, and you listen to your music, you can really, almost identical at times, how well you guys have taken those influences and put them into. How do you like listen to another band and then apply it to yourself and kind of make it original like you guys do so well?
Yeah, I think it's just really easy in a sense because it's like all of us have different influences, and we all trust each other with those. It's like Aaron and Brian really love A Day to Remember and like bands like that. And then Matt really loves Sam Smith, and Matt will come and go, okay, I got the Sam Smith thing, and they're like, you guys can do whatever you want, and then they all of a sudden are able to make some cool, I don't know, chugga breakdown kind of thing through it. But I think that's what's kind of unique with it. It's like everyone's like, hey, this is you, show you in this song, and a lot of people actually ask that question, and I think a lot of bands, they're like, there's a lot of egos that go around, and like, no, this is the style I want. This is the style we have to go. Where we're all like, you know what? Let's just make music we all like, and I have to compromise my little Nine Inch Nails thing with your Metallica thing. Then let's do that, and maybe that's something cool. So
that's awesome. What is the new sound going to be like? Because you guys are so versatile in what you put out. Your next upcoming songs, your next EP, your album, what do you think it's going to sound like?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
You actually have no idea how big of a question that is for us right now. Like, we recorded with John Feldman. Are you familiar? You're familiar? Okay.
Yeah, I think he works with a band called Blink-182. I think I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah. He's done a lot of things right now, and there's that. And then we worked with Craig Owens, and there couldn't be two more opposite people in this world. Craig and John are both geniuses in their own way, but they're completely different. And working with them in under a month just makes us really think, like, what kind of band are we supposed to be? Like, where do we go with this? So I will say that our next EP, whenever the next one is, besides this acoustic one, is going to be, we're all very interested to hear what it's going to sound like. And that's what's kind of cool about Marina City, is that no one really knows exactly where they're going to pinpoint us, what kind of music we are, and we want to continue that. But we want to continue. We want our career to grow, so we have to find that fine line where we can be super artistic and also be able to not be so crazy that it doesn't grow with a bigger audience. So it's definitely a challenge that we're going through right now.
You guys have had such an awesome year in terms of what you've accomplished. I guess going back to last winter, fallish, what was it like getting that phone call and realizing you're going to be named the Ernie Ball Band of the Year?
It was pretty overwhelming, actually. We were together in New York. We were going to CMJ Music Festival, and then Ryan gets a call, and he just kind of walks away, but then calls us over there, and then he puts on speaker. He's like, "Hey, can you say this for us one more time?" And he's just like, "How would you guys like to record your next EP with John Feldmann?" And then all of us just kind of ran in circles in the street of New York, and then it was kind of like a couple tears fell down our faces that day.
I don't blame you.
He's being modest, incredibly baby.
Yeah. Overall, it was really great, just because we were happy to even just play our local date that summer, and then to have them say that we won the entire thing, it made us feel like we were doing things right, because the entire time you're just like, I don't know if we're doing things right or not. So it kind of made us think that hopefully we're on the right path.
What was it like working with John, and what'd you gain from him?
Jeez.
It's a very big one.
Yes, it is. Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
It was definitely, I'm speaking for all of us, but it was like a first, a definite huge first. We weren't used to working the way he worked. He just really intense, but it was I don't know. I guess we took away from it is this never say no to any idea, and just to work with about anything, you know.
John thinks really, really big on everything that he does, and he thinks in a grand scheme of things. And the ideas that he brings up are stuff that you're kind of just you hear it and you're like, yeah, that's how it should be done. That, it makes sense. And then you're it's just working how to see how those ideas pertain to what Marina City is been the battle between us. Is trying to figure out, how much John Feldmann, how much Marina City, where do we come into that middle ground? And that was the battle the entire time we were there.
Wow.
Yeah, he just taught us and Craig too, honestly, just taught us about life, man. It was just our careers. It was way far beyond music. We learned a lot about music and just a different way to work, but we just learned more about what it's really what it's going to really take, and I think we were a lot more motivated and a lot more hungry when we came back home, and just been let's do it, everything that we learned, let's make that bigger, let's do better, I guess. So Feldmann and Craig, it's one of those things, especially with Feldmann, it's hard to tell you what it was like, because I can tell you he's the most intense dude in the world, and you're probably wow, he's probably scary, and he was. But he was the nicest guy too. It was just a guy you never wanted to disappoint, and we just worked really hard to make that happen, and we're hoping to do more stuff with him in the future.
Yeah, that's a good coach to be able to find that blend between those two things.
Yeah.
What Warped Tour coming up? Is this your first year at Warped Tour? Or have you done it in the past?
We did a one date Chicago date at Warped Tour, but I don't know if you want to count that or not. But this is the first time we're doing more than one date, 2 weeks. So yeah, this is the first time.
Very nice. And what, how do you prepare for that? You're going to be with bands that are, young and up and coming and doing great work like yourself, but then you're going to be with guys like, Yellow Card, Sum 41, New Found Glory, that have been around the block a couple of times. I guess, what's the excitement level like? What's the mindset like going into something like that? And what do you hope to gain?
And those are two big questions, I guess. One, how we're preparing. Let's just say that ever since we've heard, our workout schedule went to 0 to at least 5 days a week. All of us got gym memberships, so we're doing P90X, so we're running. Seriously, I swear to God, we're doing that. We got the in-ear monitor system specifically for Warped Tour. Figuring out what our merch thing, touring relentlessly, practicing. Our practice hours went, and we practice almost 20 hours a week, weekend actually, and then we work on vocals on days off. We are always doing stuff. That's like everything is about Warped Tour right now. Is figuring out how we can be better. And like you said, Sum 41 actually. When you said Sum 41 and Yellow Card, I knew that they were on there, but when you said it, I was like, whoa, we're gonna that actually took my breath away again, because we're so focused on what we're doing, on how we can get Kevin Lyman to look at us, how we can get thousands of kids to watch us and care about us. This is not only the first time on Warped Tour, this is the first time on the West Coast for us. Sometimes the first time on the West Coast for us in general, not even just touring, just being out there. And, it's a lot of scary stuff with it, and we're just focusing on how we can be the best musicians possible for us and be able to win over crowds that have never heard of us every single day. So there's a lot of training that comes from that.
Yeah, I don't think people realize, when you see bands have so much energy on stage, it's not that they're just practicing being musicians. They have to be physically prepared for that moment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's in the West Coast, it's going to be 100 degrees every day, and you have to be that intense, but you also have to be in lines telling people to come, and you have to be outside to get people to come to your tent. You're out there in the heat all day, and then you got to perform your heart out. So we're definitely trying to be healthy and mentally ready.
I only have a few more questions for you guys, and thanks again for talking with me. You guys have gone through so much in the past 4 years, from trying to make it in Chicago through now getting these national deals and really expanding. I mean, I saw your video where you talked about even being robbed at one point. How have all those experiences kind of prepared you for this push and this impressive progression that you're making right now?
I think it's just like, after every big mishap we have, we know what not to do again, just to not let it happen again. Well, we are really cautious about all that stuff, and I think it's definitely helped us for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we've spent a lot of time learning from our mistakes and kind of working through things that have worked or not worked in the past, and then kind of reinforcing things that work. So it's crazy. Someone told us recently that we should really start thinking of ourselves as like 6 months olds rather than 4 years old. Just because these past 3 to 4 years have just been building and learning and just establishing that foundation. So I feel like now we know where we fit in the grand scheme of things and kind of what to do, at least a little bit, for the future. So, yeah, I mean, those experiences have been totally invaluable, as awful as some of them have been.
Sure. What are the goals, say, just over the next year? Where do you hope the band is maybe a year from this point?
Not working our second job. No, seriously, that's a serious goal. We want to tour a lot. We want to make new music. We want to not work other jobs and just focus on pretty much what we do best.
There isn't, I think an easy answer would be like, man, we want to get signed, we want to get a manager, a booker, a publicist, everything. And as awesome as that would be, we feel like it has to naturally happen. And that's not something that we're like, okay, that's our goal. What our goal is to do what we're doing now, but on a bigger scale. Mm-hmm. So how do we get 2 times more tours than we get? Or how do we get our merch sales up? So we're planning that. We want to do what we're doing now, but in a bigger scale each year. And then if a label, management, booking, and everything comes with it, then so be it. But I feel like a lot of people focus on things that they can't control and not enough of what they can. We knew a band who did the same thing as what we've done and have really cool opportunities that we've done. and they wait for those big people to make moves for them and sit and just wait like, well, I don't want to do anything because possibly this could happen, so they don't do anything. And then now they're forgotten. Instead of us, we're just like, well, we're going to hit the ground running every single day, and if anything cool comes with it, then sweet. Winning the Ernie Ball Battle of the Bands was just the icing on top of what we already had planned. So it's very, we're very excited to see what happens, and just keep